Hello, Jaime from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today an Ink Road Stamps design team make die cuts and sentiment mashup. I'm using the Feelin Salty stamp set and, of course, the Health-ish stamp set from Ink Road Stamps as my main ones. I'm also going to bring in the pink Paisley 6x6 Summer Lights paper pad. I'm pretty sure it's not available anymore. I don't know how long I've had it. I've had it for a very long time. Anyways, I'm also bringing in Lawn Fawn's Build a Drink stamp set. They have a Build a Cocktail that would work, and they have a mason jar that would work. Any kind of drink cup would work for this one, even just a stamped one, and color it in. So I kind of pulled out the pieces that I knew that I was going to need and got busy stamping my backgrounds first. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to use the Feelin Salty. I understand it's probably already sold out and not going to be up for restock. Let's talk about how Ink Road kind of does things. So if it's retired, it won't be back. So if it's still in stock, nab it if you can. And pre-order means that it's going to stamp manufacturer. So if you want to make sure to get it, order it during the pre-order. I'm pretty sure there's a set time on there now that says when the pre-orders are kind of done. And they're still minimum, so those kind of go into the stock on hand. And if you want the in-stock stuff faster, do those on a separate order from your pre-orders. And I use wish lists for stuff that's on my want list that I can't afford everything all the time. So I put it on my want list, and at least if it gets low in stock, I'll get an email when the email is working that lets me know that I need to nab it or miss it. So I hope that kind of helps. And I can totally understand where Lara's coming from with not doing restocks on some stuff. Or all of it, because it's a lot of money sitting on a shelf, not moving. So I understand that. She does plan on doing some remakes and stuff. So keep that in mind. So if you put stuff on your wish list, that probably helps her figure out what she might do restocks on. And she's a business owner, so she might break her own rules and bring something back because she wants to. So keep that in mind. And if you ever have stamp ideas, go hit up the Roadies Facebook group and you can, comment there of stuff that you'd like to see. Just saying, sometimes it happens. So on this one, I decided to bring in the Health-ish stamp set. I'm pretty sure this one is still in stock. I love that. I love water, but surrounded by ice cubes, and then it has the option of coffee and whiskey and vodka and all those things. But of course, I wanted rum and that wasn't on the list, so I had to improvise. I'll make it work. I'm doing rum buckets, okay? Okay. So I'm bringing in some Distress Oxide inks here. And I just picked some colors that I knew were going to coordinate with my paper. So purple, I think, was Wilted Violet, maybe. I didn't catch the colors. I will list them all down below for you. I'm also going to bring in that Windsor & Newton watercolor iridescent medium. It can be watered down quite heavily from the concentrate that's in the bottle, so keep that in mind. I just leave it in a little dish and then I just re-wet it and kind of go from there. It just makes life a little bit easier. I picked up those dishes. I think there was a stack of 6 or 12 of them from the Dollar Tree. They work really good for splatter stuff. And yes, I have a gold one underneath it because they stack really well too. So, a cheap find. It was all good. So I'm using some of the colors that were left on my mat to kind of color in the rest of my die cut pieces here. I love using Distress Oxide smooshing for die cuts. It just there's color variation, there's interest to it, but it really doesn't take a lot of work and or time. So I was a little bit fussier on the inserts on my little limes here just because I didn't want to cut out more. And so I just kind of went in with a finer brush that allowed me to just kind of paint onto just the little wedge pieces in there without having to take them apart and put them back together and do multiples. Now, I had kind of forgot one, so I needed to make it a little bit darker on the rind. So I just put it direct to pad and then kind of added a little bit of water to it. Made it work. I'm just going to clean up my work surface here and then I'm going to start building my drinks. So for this one, I'd already done this card once and I wanted the straw and the little umbrella to actually be inside the cup, but I didn't want them, I wanted them to be in the shaker part, but I didn't want them to be like behind the glass on the top part. Does that make sense? So I knew that I had to do it a little bit different. I did cut down the front piece just to hit, you know, so it just cut out where the straw is going to sit in there. And then I did just glue all of my pieces together. So I did these 3 different ways. So this one I used the die cut paper pieces. So I use the cheaper Amazon Accent Opaque 120 weight for my shaker well pieces because it takes less die cuts to get a deep well. I hope that makes sense. I'm also not very patient, as you can see, and so I fiddle around with the umbrella quite a bit because I don't wait for it to dry. Yeah, so that might be my suggestion, is let it dry, move on to the next, and then come back to it, because I did not. Anyways, so this way I could tuck in my straw into my glass, and I didn't really have to worry about it stuck out of the glass and it wasn't behind the acetate piece. But when I do my shaker part, I'm going to do a full piece of acetate on the back, and this way it looks like it's still in a glass, but it's like, you know, it's that layer dimension. It's extra. I get that I'm extra, so you wouldn't have to do it that way. That was just how I chose to do them on this one. So for my shaker, I like to bring in some clear seed beads, and then I bought, these are just like a fruit clay bits that I picked up off of Amazon. I think you can find them in like nail art, and so it's a fairly big, you know, container of them. And so I just kind of went through, picked out the greens and the yellow citrusy looking ones. I think there's some kiwi looking ones in there and probably some dragon fruit, but color wise it worked with what I was going for on this one. And then of course some glitter as well, because, you know, it's probably an iced drink, you know, like a blended margarita style drink. So I'm going to let that one sit. Once I had my back piece on there, I let it sit and dry underneath a piece of acrylic block, and then I'm going to do the front one. So this one I'm doing the same thing with that top piece, cutting it out. I did have a little overhang on the bottom because my cut wasn't the greatest. I probably could have taken one of the other ones and used it as a guide, but, you know, I was, you know, not thinking about that when I was doing it. So do what I say, not what I do. So for this one, I decided to bring in double-sided foam adhesive. So these are the little skinny strips. I picked them up off of Amazon. I think they're 1/8 of an inch wide, and they work really well for this one. They're about the same width. Time-wise, let's talk about time. Did it take me less time to do the fiddly foam strips or to do all the die cutting? It's about a horse apiece. I'm not going to lie. It probably took me about the same amount of time. You know, it takes more paper for the one, I guess, if that's something that, you know, you don't have a lot of, or you're trying to conserve paper. So I usually, even like the inside pieces of my glasses or cups, I use to cut out my die cuts for my lines and stuff and my leaves. So I used a lot of it. I didn't have a lot of waste, but that's one thing. But, you know, either one worked well. So this one is going in my rum bucket card. So I have rum bucket story. But anyway, so this one was going to be a rum bucket. And so I just grabbed a handful of those fruity pieces and threw them in there because, you know, rum buckets are multiple flavors of rum and fruit juice in a big old bucket with a straw. Sometimes more than one straw, because, yeah, I don't think they're really meant for one person. Just saying. Dawn. She's not watching. I'm just picking on her. So for this one, I did bring in and add some ice cubes on here. I probably wouldn't have needed to because my shaker bits are so full that, yeah, you really can't see it even when it's shaken. But I did bring in, so there's like the little S-curve die cut that comes with the die set, and so you can get the little wave on your beverage on top here. Now for my third one, I did do a full panel of like the drink mix, or not the drink, the acrylic piece on the back side of my glass. So it still looks like it's glass, but it's, you know, it's behind my, is it behind? It might be in front of my straw. I might be behind. It's behind my straw. So I put it on there. I wasn't as worried with this one. It still gives a really cool look because it still looks like it's a glass. It just adds a little bit of extra. You could definitely do glossy accents on the whole thing if that's your jam. But there's, you know, I just kind of did them 3 different ways, and it gives you 3 different looks, and they're all glorious and pretty. So I did bring in some coordinating colored cardstock and pattern paper for my pieces here. So they are cut down to an A2 size for 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then I just mounted these on top of them. So it has a really nice 1/4 inch all the way around it border. And then for my shaker pieces, so because I sandwiched my shaker bits in between the shaker well, adding that back piece on was a lot easier, I felt. You can do it either way, but this way I didn't have to worry about having a full panel on the back, which also kind of helped with this one. But you could definitely just do that one piece and then come in with like a white or something. But I wanted to be able to see the background. I just like the look it gives. And so that extra piece of acetate really kind of makes it, you know? Yeah. So I did keep this one kind of flatter. I just glued it straight on. I wasn't worried about adding too much dimension to this one. So it'll mail easier, trust you me, when it maybe gets there. You know I'm sucky at mailing, right? So I'm bringing in all of those other accent pieces that I had already die cut and put together. And just to finish up, I knew I needed some accent pieces on here, and this is, you know, they work well with this one. So I'm just bringing in some ice cubes. I'm going to add in some limes and kind of finish up to kind of spread out the scene on this one and just kind of make it work. So those little ice cubes could really be salt because technically salt is square. It's, yep, a compact, and that's the shape of it. So for my rum bucket, since there wasn't the word rum in that stamp set, I just die cut out the word rum from Henry's ABCs out of the coordinating pattern paper that I used for the umbrella piece. And then of course I'm just going to add in those little leaves as accent pieces. And then of course some more ice cubes onto the bottom. I picked the white ones just because the white ones were the ones that I put in the glass. So if I'd have put the holographic ones in the glass, I'd have put the holographic ones on front. So keep that in mind when you're doing it to kind of, you know, if you wanted them to be matchy. So there are the fronts mostly done. Of course, I wanted to add a few more details. So I'm bringing in that gel pen there that is the Stardust one. So it has that glittery and glimmery shine to it. And I'm just tracing over the salty on both of those. And then, of course, for the rum, it's not centered. It's driving me nuts, but I let it go because once it was glued, it was glued. Yeah, I should have tucked the M a little bit closer there. It happens. So I'm bringing in some unicorn stickles on top of the rum there. I did put them on the rim of my glass for sugar on this one, but you really can't tell with the holographic even after they were dried, so I probably could have skipped that step. I am bringing in the frosted lace Stickles for my tequila cards or my margarita cards, adding them to my salt shaker, and then of course the rim of that glass. You really can't tell either when those ones were dry. I kind of extended the salt sprinkles down on the one more than the other. I liked the second one that I did better than the first. Now I did bring in some glossy accents for this one on the cup here, or the shot glass, or the, you know, little drink glass, and then of course the salt shaker as well. I did not wait for them to dry. It turned out just like, I didn't wait for the glitter to dry, and it turned out just fine. You could have double stamped the sentiment and like fussy cut just the inside of that little glass and made it a different color if you wanted to. I did find matching sentiments for the inside. So for that first one, I love water, especially frozen in cubes completely surrounded by rum. Yesterday all my troubles seemed so far away, but I'm not drunk today. There will probably be a happy Mother's Day under that one. And you know I've been drinking. I mean thinking Wouldn't it be great if Walmart added an upper deck observation level with a full bar? Just saying, it'd be fun. And then for the last one here, I brought in just a spoonful of sugar helps reality go down. Salt is just angry sugar. So there are my 3 cards today, and of course I had to play with the shakers. So I did add those onto the front of each one of those card bases, and you know, I'll probably add some Happy Mother's Day to a couple of those and get them hopefully in the mail before Mother's Day. That is all I have today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please keep getting inky and enjoy your Mother's Day weekend if you're watching this one when it posted. If not, enjoy your weekend or your day. You know, have something refreshing. No alcohol needed. All right, take care. Bye.